Ranimal Farm presents How to Transplant Blackberries.
Hi, today we wanted to talk to you about transplanting berry bushes into raised beds. So first you have to make your raised beds. We did it really easy with cinder blocks. It was probably the cheapest and most structurally sound and longest lasting way you can do it. To make an 8 foot by 4 foot wide bed, it takes 20 cinder blocks, so 4 on each end, 6 on either side, and you have a pretty solid bed. And it's easy to kind of move around as you're making it. For the soil inside, now you're going to want to check to see if there's any certain mixes that you might need depending on what you're planting, but for blackberries, which we are putting in today, it's pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio of peat moss and compost, or if you get a bagged compost, we get an organic compost. But what you do is you'll just spread those out. This particular bed, to fill almost all the way up, took 8 1 cubic foot bags of compost and 1.5 3.8 cubic foot bags of peat moss. And you can see it raises it up pretty well. I took a hoe and kind of spread it around so it mixed it up pretty well. You can see our or our pattern beam for square foot gardening. And I just threw this together one time when we started square foot gardening, but each of these quadrants are, well, I guess it's not quadrants, but each of these squares are 1 square foot. So you'll lay this down, and just depending on what you're planting, you will put the plant in the corresponding spot. So for blackberries, you're going to want to have them spread out 1 per 4 square feet. So when I laid this thing out straight, you're going to have 1 directly in the center here, 1 there, 1 here, and 1 here. I don't want to lay it down in the bed because that will crush the plant. You can see how they've laid out. Now we actually had an extra blackberry plant, so I'm going to kind of fit it into the middle. It's not recommended to do that, but it should be okay. And if not, then we just have 1 plant that didn't make it. But what you're going to do, and I found that this works really well to kind of label your plants, because we have several different types. We have boysenberry, we have triple crown, and over there we have, in one of the other beds, we have Dirksen. So to label them, you'll take the post, and I just break it off in one of the cinder blocks, and I put it right where I want to have my plant planted. And this is so you don't lose track of what's in that spot. You might have a better memory than me, but this is what I do. And then you just take that off and you have your plant label. The reason you don't want to leave that on here is as the plant grows, the band can kind of throttle it and stunt its growth a little bit, make it weaker. And you want to give your plants every opportunity they have to survive. So it's really easy to do this part. Just kind of dig out a hole. They make tools for this if you don't want to get your hands dirty, but if you don't want to get your hands dirty, you probably don't want to be gardening to begin with. And then you just kind of squeeze this box a little bit to get the dirt loosened up. And then very gently grab a hold of the plant, turn the pot upside down so that you have your plant come out. Check in there, make sure there's nothing left. And then just examine this for a second. You'll see we've got a little earthworm in here, and that's really good for your bed. So then you're going to kind of squeeze it a little bit. This is actually a pretty decent size, so the dirt is really, or the soil is really compacted together. Usually you'll try to break that up so the roots have mobility. So you'll put that down in the hole you just made and just cover it back up. You want to loosely pat it around on the top, and then move on. What we'll do later, and we aren't going to do this today because if you can't tell, it's starting to rain, but for blackberries in particular, we're going to put a wooden or vinyl lattice work right in the middle, and that's going to give our blackberries something to kind of climb and grow towards. You'll have to come out periodically as they get bigger and kind of guide them in the direction of the lattice work or the trellising, but it's really not too difficult, and you get a nice, healthy, delicious treat.
For more cute animal videos and farming how-tos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.